Show 'em.
The planet Earth.
Some call me nature.
I am very passionate about the planet.
Earth.
A living, breathing planet capable of sustaining whatever life forms we see fit to deposit on it.
Spock, judging by the pollution content of the atmosphere, I believe we have arrived.
It's the planet stupid.
No. It's the planet stupid.
Our guide through things involving the environment is the eco-journalist. She is Belinda Weymouth, everyone. She's here on Thursdays at this time. Good morning to you. I have seen all manner of things that I wanted to ask you about. You know, one of the things that we're not going to focus on this today, but I keep getting emails about the fact that, you know, you had talked about the gas stove thing and the methane and, you know, how bad it is. And, you know, it's funny. I can't now stand near my gas stove without thinking about it. But I still, last night, I'm watching YouTube and I'm hunched right there next to the gas stove. And the reality is, even with just the pilot lights on, right? Is that how, does it have a pilot light anymore or not? I know it has an electronic ignition.
It's burning where you can't see it underneath.
It's emitting something that's not good for me. Am I right, Belinda?
I'm afraid, yes, it is. Yeah. So don't be hunched over the stove, breathing in those, breathing
pretty in the stupid. Air. Yeah, I felt like pretty dumb. But so they're asking for retrofitting eventually, and that the stoves, and then the GOP's out saying, save gas stoves, and it's just become like a wedge issue. I do think that when you ask people to replace stuff on retrofit stuff, there can be buy-in from the public, but you do have to construct whatever legislative strategy there is to make people whole, or at least not put them in too big an economic hole. You'd agree with that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the Inflation Reduction Act. There's all this money to help people, when they want to change from a gas stove to an induction and get heat pumps in their houses. I mean, there's a lot of money that's been set aside for that. And one of the things that listeners really need to know is, the government isn't coming in and saying, you must replace your gas stove. This is when you decide you want a new stove. It's not, they're not deciding for you and mandating it. And then obviously if it's new construction, I mean, and there are lots of places, San Jose and different places, where you can't have gas hookups anymore. And, what the thing is, and what we have to sort of really focus on is that, our knowledge base is growing. When we started burning fossil fuels, we didn't know how bad they were. Unfortunately, the fossil fuel companies did work it out a long time ago, what we were doing to the climate, and then the awful thing with gas stoves is, the gas company, that was just like cigarettes. They advertised, they made us all believe that cooking with gas was vastly superior. I mean, I posted that crazy, it's on YouTube now, the ad, trying to make, cooking with gas sexy. And now influencers are being paid to do it on, soon maybe to be banned TikTok. And, right. So it's again, this thing that's happening. And, I read this thing the other day and it really resonated with me because, it was talking about how, we can have optimism about the future. And one of the things that this writer said is, pessimists look at news, optimists look at data. And the thing is, we have so much data right now that's telling us, about the nasties that come into your home when you're burning with gas that you don't even know about. And, the increased rates of asthma and all these things in children. And it's just not, make reality your friend. We have the data. And so we move forward with that. But it's really a bummer that the GOP, wants to politicize everything. I mean, and get divisive about it. And, what's it going to be? Woke induction stoves. It's like, no, right. It's like we now know that this stuff is better for us. So
I see the arguments, when it comes to details and aspects of the legislation to make taxpayers whole on changes they have to make to their home. By the way, the older gas stoves do have pilot lights. I know I'm seeing in the the chat. They don't have pilot lights anymore. Yeah, I get it. The newer ones don't. I care. But a lot of older gas stoves do have pilot lights, and there are a lot of older gas stoves in homes. So it's both are true. But the demands that are being made on consumers, I think the point I'm trying to make is details do have to be worked out, and I think some of the details are insufficient in terms of the sacrifices that have to be made. But it has nothing to do with the goal, which is to get rid of the gas that's going into homes and ultimately get rid of a lot of these appliances that run on the gas. It has to do with the details associated with it so that taxpayers don't end up on the hook doubly for having purchased some new appliance. Maybe it's a gas water heater or whatever it is, and they're not made whole for the adjustments that they have to make. I want to move on, though. I want to move on to some stuff that's happening along the coast. Yeah.
Big. Oh,
so, what's happening, and I mentioned this, I think, in our open. I didn't mention the specifics, but I said there really is potentially a contagion. 4 otters have died, and scientists are looking, that's here in California, and scientists are looking at what's killing them and looking toward this potentially now being another contagion that could actually make it into the human population. I wonder if you could speak to what it is and how that might happen.
Yeah. So we've got this severe, it's a rare parasite, and it has killed 4 otters. UC Davis scientists, on the case, and it's this Toxoplasma gondii, and the, here's the thing. I'm going to link it to what it needs to be linked to. And unfortunately, it's cats. And it's cats, whether they're domesticated or they're wild. And what happens is
Well, I love cats, so watch your step.
Yeah. No. I am going to, Mark, because, this is an animal that we love. But the awful thing about this, this nasty parasite is the only known animal where it can reproduce right now is in felids, so in cats. And then it gets passed out in their poop, feces, if we want to be technical and more scientific, which I know we do.
Thank you. Yes.
And then the awful thing about it is that once it's passed out of the cat, it can be infective in the soil for up to a year, and then in seawater for up to 6 months. And what they think happened in California is all these storms and all this runoff got this parasite, from, its terrestrial source and then into the ocean, and then it infected the invertebrates. So, what the otters are eating, and what they're warning people about is, don't eat raw or undercooked mussels, oysters, crabs, and clams, along, our coast. And, this parasite I'm super aware of because we have it in New Zealand, and it's killing. We have this really beautiful endemic little dolphin. It's called the Maui dolphin. We're down to, less than 50 of them. And they know it's because of cat litter. And, people get told over and over again, don't flush it down the loo. That's cat litter and it's toxic. And, people do, and we just have to be, super duper mindful.
Is that what's caused this in the otter population in California? Is that people are flushing cat litter down the loo, as you say?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think so, because this is the first. No. This is where they've, what they've scientists have linked it to in New Zealand. Like how were we losing this, endemic, beautiful, tiny little dolphin? And it's really gorgeous. They look like the vaquitas, the little ones that are down in the Baja,
that
California.
Are also endangered. I think they're down to like less than 20.
I was going to say less than 100, Mark. Come on.
No, I think there may be fewer than. Okay, I mean,
So
I'm not going to argue with you about how many.
That's Gilnet. That's Gilnet. Yeah. Don't argue with me about how many vaquitas are there, please. But the thing, what they're saying in California is this is super recent. We've never seen it before in our waters, and they really are linking it to the storms and what is getting, washed off the land and into the ocean. And, being a surfer, this winter, usually the winter is a great time. I love surfing in the winter. I love cold water because I'm from New Zealand. I put on a thick wetsuit. I get out there. But no one's, well, if you're smart, you don't surf because all the runoff, into the ocean, the local people who test the waters, Heal the Bay and other organizations say, hey, don't go in the water for 72 hours after a storm because of everything that gets washed off our streets, which includes, dog poop and all kinds of stuff. And now, we have these, big homeless encampments. So, you really think about it. I mean, when I was working at UCLA, scientists there were saying, forget about don't go in the water for 72 hours, 3 days, stay out for 10 days after a big storm. And so when you think of the massive amount of flooding and everything, the ocean is downhill from everything. So all the storm water heads downhill, carrying all these nasties with it. And that's what they're linking, this
the death of the otters too. The toxic plasmosis. And there into that population goes this thing that is, as you suggest, a contagion. It has moved into the human population before, that toxic plasmosis, as you've just said. It's usually in, as you've also said, in the fecal matter, but you would find it maybe in someone who has cleaned out the cat box and then didn't wash their hands sufficiently. It made contact with the fecal matter somehow. I know historically that's been the issue, but this is bizarre because it's just, as you say, washing into the water that is occupied by these otters. Now it's killing them. And the thinking is the leap to the human population will be more indirect, and as a result, it does pose a threat.
Yeah. Look. This is the thing that we've taken over the planet. Right now, 96% of mass of mammals on Earth, 96%, Mark, is either us or the animals we have domesticated. So that means mere 4% of mammals is, everything from your elephants to your bats. Everything else is us. And, when you look at the bird population, 70% of birds on Earth now are domesticated. 70%, only 30 are in the wild. And of that 70%, most of them are, chicken, they're poultry. So when you think of, this enormous footprint we have, and then the enormous footprint that our domesticated animals have, we have to be more responsible. We're getting the data. So,
well, responsible is not something that we do particularly well, but thank you for the tip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let me, I wanted to point to I don't mean to skip over it. You're right. We have to look at that data. I mean, I think everything you say makes sense. I wanted to just point you to a good story, because I know you do. I always start with the negative. You always want to start with the positive. But there is a real positive story and a build back of an animal population. And it's right here in California. I wonder if you could speak to the recovery of the elephant seals.
Yes. So this is, we got a second chance with these animals. And this was through, guess what? Regulation. So the elephant seals are these incredible, 2.5, ton animals. And we were so into hunting them for their blubber, which we used as fuel. We hunted them to what looked like extinction. There was an 8-year period. So from 1884 to 1892, they weren't seen anywhere. No one saw them on the planet. We were like, oh, those babies are gone. So there are 2 lots of them. There are the southern ones who are even bigger, and they live around Antarctica. And then there are the northern elephant seals, and their territory is the Eastern Pacific. So they're seen everywhere from Alaska down to Mexico. So we had this 8-year period. We didn't see any of them. And the world said, okay, we're going to ban hunting elephant seals. They did. And then miraculously, they found this very small colony. It was less than 100 of them on the Guadalupe Island off Baja, California. And from that 100, and I could almost weep. It makes me like just sort of emotional that they were able to rebound. There are now 175,000 of these seals in the world. So we went from less than 100, in the space of just over a century. Yeah, it's amazing. And the incredible thing is that they're super close to us. Like, there are 3 big colonies of them when they're breeding that are close to San Francisco, a big, fabulous international city. And, within, a couple of hours drive, and, you can go up to Point Reyes and see them. You can see them, along the coast of, around Big Sur, San Luis Obispo. So they have bounced back, and this is through regulation. We banned hunting, and look what happened. It's a success story.
It really is. It really is. And it's and look, it's from an ecological perspective, it's a win. From doing the right thing perspective, it's a win. But it's also a win for the economics of California. And we always talk about the economy, because tourists love seeing them. Seeing these creatures, and they're in the wild. They're not at a zoo. It's a spectacular sight. It's an exciting sight for kids. It's an exciting sight for adults. So a terrific story. And then, as you say, it's regulations, it's protections imposed to bring back that population, and it's happened. Really, really great news. So we do end with something good. I hate to do that because I have a bleak, sad outlook about our future. But maybe I should reframe everything. Maybe I should rethink everything. Belinda, maybe our future is bright on this planet.
I think that it is, Mark. I think that it is. So yes, we do. When we use the data, we take that information and we use it in a sensible way. And look, the time is now. The time is now. Use all this data and make the right decisions.
Well, the last thing I would say is that the UN just issued a big report. And essentially the world's scientists are saying, guys, there's still a chance to stem this, but it would take an aggressive move. And they are asking for the developed countries, the world's most powerful economies, to make the move. Again, that's where I get pessimistic, or maybe you would say realistic, but that is something that the UN report does include, is a way out of this mess. I'm talking about global warming as the mess.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's like you and I were discussing last week. If we can, if the world can, the US being the number one, nation coming to the aid of Ukraine and sending them $112 billion in assistance. If the developed world can do for the planet what we're doing for one nation on the planet, do for all of mankind, humankind, actually, I'd like to say, we could get out of this mess. The technology, is there, and the ramping up with renewables is happening. And yes, there's a lot of chatter on the other side, but don't look at the news, look at the data, and get into action. And I always say, we're at our most spectacular as a species when we have a challenge, and when there is something that we recognize that needs an entire societal response to. And man, this is it. This is our moment.
It's just that we don't respond so well as a species because of a slow-moving threat. We do better with something along the lines of COVID. Oh my God, it's the alarm bell ringing now. But we sort of get used to this climate alarm bell. We're frankly becoming too accustomed to hearing it ring. But more on that in the days to come. You can find Belinda Weymouth here on Thursdays and across social media. Belinda Weymouth is Waymouth. Belinda, thank you so much for making time for us. Love talking to you.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you.
Belinda Weymouth, everybody.
More.
It's the planet stupid. No. It's the planet stupid.
Next time, only on The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah. Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.